open that heavy door at Scoville or at Kittredge? What about carrying multiple plates at Lowry, or hated walking up all those stairs to visit your friend on the top floor of a dorm? These are everyday inconveniences that the College of Worcester that we face, but imagine facing them with a physical disability that left you in a wheelchair or using crutches. As a community, we must be more aware of our campus's accessibility and make simple changes for those with both temporary and permanent physical disabilities in order for them to be more self-reliant. First, I will discuss the specific problems on our campus. Although Ian has talked about the outside part of our campus, I will focus on the interior of buildings. Then, I will discuss ways we can fix these problems and the benefits of fixing them. And finally, I will discuss what you yourself can do to fix the problems. So what is the problem? First, our campus is poorly set up for people with physical disabilities. Let me explain. Doors are nearly impossible to open if you're in a wheelchair or using crutches. In a personal interview with Elise Kettling on November 17th, she told me that in order to get somewhere, she has to plan in advance how to get there because she cannot open the door on her own. Imagine that you have to plan how to get to a forum, a class, or an event simply because you cannot open a door on your own. In a fall 2011 paper by Nalima Khan, she wrote about being on crutches for 2 days as an experiment, and she stated, "I crutch walked all the way to the restroom, and I failed to open the door because it usually takes 2 of my hands to open the door as it is so heavy. I could not conduct my experiment and gave up for the night. Kindergarten is obviously not disability friendly." Also, it is impossible to live in the dorms if you live on an upper level floor or the basement, because it's impossible to climb all those stairs every single day. In an interview with Richard Barnes on November 17th, he told me that he had to live in the Wellness Center during the time of his injury because he could not live in his room in the Holden basement. Could you imagine having to live in a completely separate building because you were injured? Our buildings are also not set up to be handicap accessible. For example, Lean Lecture Hall is set up similarly to this room, with stadium-type seating that you cannot get to the bottom if you are in a wheelchair. In an interview with Elise Kettling, she also told me that in presentations in buildings like these, it's not worth the hassle to go there. As all of you know, in Lowry, our food is served us buffet style. Can you imagine trying to get your food on crutches? In in-person interviews with Maddie Hart and Kinsey Walker on November 18th, both of them agreed that it was difficult to rely on others to get their food for them, as they had to wait till a time that was convenient for their friends and roommates to get their food for them. Restrooms are also extremely inaccessible, both in academic buildings and in dorms. Mike Reese, in an in-person interview on November 16th, told me that the hardest part of his day, because he's on crutches for multiple knee injuries, is showering. He lives in Holden, and the shower has a ledge to get into the shower that's often slippery, and there's no bars to hold on to, and there's also no seat to sit on. How would you shower if you can't put weight on one of your legs with nothing to support you? Handicap-accessible restrooms are also not in convenient locations. In Wishart, we only have one, and it's not on the same level as Lean Lecture Hall. In Andrews Library, we have one on the first floor of the entire library, only one of 2 in the entire building. In Kittredge, as you know, the bathrooms are not even on the same floor as the dining hall. So why is this a big deal? Well, as a college, 2 of our goals is to embrace diversity and to strive for independent thinking. The college's reputation for embracing diversity and being a successful liberal arts college is what we strive for. But we do not address these problems, and we are excluding a wide group of people. As most of you know, our motto is independent minds working together. But Elise Kettling brought up to the point to me that do we only strive for independent minds? What about independent bodies? Also, if prospective students visit our campus or a faculty member, they will leave with a negative view if they have a physical disability, and they will not attend our college, and they will be drawn away from it. So why should you care? You could be injured at any time. Are these struggles that you want to have to deal with every day that you are injured? As professors, do you like your students being late to class? Every student that I interviewed told me that they were often late to class because of their injuries, which made them miss material. Finally, prospective students will be drawn from our campus because they will not be able to get around campus if they have a physical disability or if friends or families do as well. So what can be done? I'm not here to advocate major structural changes that will cost a lot of money and take a lot of time. I am, however, here to advocate the changes to make everyone independent on their own. So what do I mean? First, we should install automatic doors and at least one door per building, both from the inside and the outside of the door. We need to leave a room unoccupied on the first floor of every dorm so that students with disabilities can live there during the time of their injury. We need to organize meetings and presentations in rooms that are handicap accessible. We should install a beeper system for one worker in Lowry, so if a student wants to get their food, all they have to do is page someone to help them. Finally, we should install bars and seats so it's safer to shower for those who are injured. How will this fix the problem? The automatic door openers make it easier for everyone to get into the buildings. As told to me by Richard Barnes in his interview, it's the hardest thing to get into a door with crutches because he has to open the door, slip inside, keep it open enough so he can get in, but he almost always was hit in the back by it. With a simple push of a button of an automatic door opener, anyone can get into the door easily. By leaving a room unoccupied on the first floor of every dorm, the students will not have to live in the wellness center as Richard did, but instead they can live in their own dorm and just move a few of their items down for the time being. Organizing meetings and presentations in rooms that are handicap accessible allows everyone to be able to attend, but they don't have to do so with an escort. A worker in Lowry carrying a beeper system is simpler because the student does not have to wait for their friends to be able to come with them. Instead, they have to page someone who can take 5 minutes out of their working time and help the student get their food. Finally, installing a bar or a seat is safer for everyone, as you do not have to worry about slipping and falling in the shower or balancing on one leg. So how do I know my plan will work? Our buildings that we've already renovated demonstrate the success of this program. Mike Reese stated that Andrews Library and Lowry, where we've already installed automatic door openers, are the easiest buildings to get into. Maddie Hart told me in her interview that the Galt bathrooms have walls that are easy to support yourself with. So if we install bars and seats, just like in Galt, it will be easier for everyone to shower, just as it was for Maddie. You might be asking me, why is it worth spending all this money and time to something that people already manage to get through on their own? Well, it will make everyone on our campus have an easier time to live on campus, and it will be another way that we strive to be the diverse campus that we aim to be. Also, you might be asking me why I value the independence of these people so much. You already know my personal story, but also, people with physical disabilities feel different from everyone else already because they cannot do the simple tasks that they are used to. Also, they will go through social withdrawal because they cannot meet their friends in the upper level of dorms or other things. And they will also suffer academically because they will be late to class and miss the material that they need. So I want you to imagine, if we do not make these changes that I'm implying, our campus will continue to be a place that we do not accommodate the needs of a large variety of people. But imagine if we do make these changes. We will become a more diverse group of students and make accommodations so people with injuries do not have to alter their entire lives just to simply get into a door or these other problems. If you think about our campus, by my simple changes, we will live up to the reputation of independent minds and bodies, and we will be a place of diversity. All I want you to do is bring up these issues to people that can make changes, and be aware of people with physical disabilities. Offer to carry their plates for them in Lowry, or help them get into the door, or meet them in a place that they can easily get to. Everyday tasks such as showering, eating, and going up those 2 flights of stairs to see your friends are everyday tasks that we feel are effortless and don't think twice about. However, with a physical disability, simple tasks such as reliance on others, because of these tasks, we lose our independence. It is our job to start making these changes so we can live up to our reputation as a college. Questions? Anybody have questions? Jen?
I was wondering, how would a person with a handicap be able to get up to the upper level of Lowry, or is it just not possible?
Well, Joni asked me how it's possible to get to the upper level of Lowry if you're on crutches or in a wheelchair. Actually, there is an elevator in the back of Lowry that no one knows about that actually you have to go behind by moms, and you go up the stairs, or go into the elevator, and it's actually a service elevator and comes out in the kitchen. And actually, 2 of the people I interviewed told me that they were yelled at multiple times for using this elevator because it is let off in the kitchen. So it's very difficult. Dr. Rick.
Could that be illegal?
I'm not actually sure if it's illegal, but if you look at the American Disability Act, I'm sure that you could find the information that you needed there. Dr. Wick.
What if someone had to give a presentation in a class like this?
Dr. Wick asked me about a presentation in a class like this, how would they do so? Well, everybody I interviewed on crutches said they were very stubborn and they would just come down and do it themselves. But in a wheelchair, you don't really have that luxury. So they would have to either change classrooms or other things and make accommodations for an entire class and not just easily give their presentation like we all would.
If there was one change that you had to choose to make, which one would it be?
So Stephanie asked me what change I would make personally. I would have to say the automatic door openers because I think that that is the most simple thing to do is to open a door, but the thing that most people struggle with the most. Yes?
Who would you suggest bringing these issues up to in order for change to happen?
That's a great question. He asked me who I would recommend talking to about these questions. I would talk to maybe the Lowry manager on duty or the president Cornwell or any of the dean of students, your RAs, pretty much anybody who has any place of authority here that could talk to people that they know. Joey.
Do you think that the campus is like actively aware of this problem, or?
So Joni asked me if we're actively aware of this problem. I think that we are aware of it, but there's many other changes. We already made the changes to Andrews and Lowry, but I think that there's many other ways that we could strive to keep improving.